Hello, I'm Michael Rosen, and I want you to join me in meeting some well-known and popular writers of children's books. They're among a big team, all of whom have written specially for the Longman Book Project. There are funny books, adventure books, books about animals and monsters, books that tell you how to make and do things. All of them have lots and lots of pictures by the very best illustrators, and you're going to see some of them as well. Now, the first writer that you're going to meet is, the very first writer that you're going to meet is me. And this is one of the stories I've written for the Longman Book Project. You see, I live in London, and I've got 5 children, so I know all about being a dad. Do you know, my children think I'm a climbing frame. Sometimes all 5 of them come and sit on me. So I've written a story called Dad. Would you like me to read it to you? Good. Here goes. Sometimes Dad's loud. Sometimes Dad's quiet. Sometimes Dad's sulky. Sometimes Dad's a riot. Sometimes Dad's smiley. Sometimes Dad's sad. Sometimes Dad's dirty. Sometimes Dad's bad. Sometimes Dad's cross. Sometimes Dad's lazy. Sometimes Dad's smart. Sometimes Dad's crazy. Sometimes Dad's bossy. Sometimes Dad's mad. But whatever Dad sometimes is, Dad is always Dad. Now, I want you to meet someone who plays a very important part in the books I've written for Longman. Someone who makes dreams come to life, and you can actually see the result. He's the man who did the illustrations for my stories. Tony Ross. There's something familiar about that face. Where have I seen it before?
The first thing I have to do is read the story and hunt down the main characters. And one line in one of the stories said, Mad Dad. Well, that's it, I thought. Mad Dad, I've got to draw him. So I thought, Mad Dad, that's my character, Mad Dad. What sort of face would that have? I'll use Michael Rosen's face, a perfect face for Mad Dad. So I had the face of my main character. And then, of course, I had to have portraits of the biscuits. And I had to think of what the biscuits would look like. So I drew that in black and white. And once it's correct in black and white, well, then all I have to do is slap in the colour.
Now I'll read you another story which I wrote and Tony illustrated for the Longman Book Project. Dad's in this one as well. The idea came to me like this. My favourite kind of biscuit is a figgy roll. Do you know what a figgy roll is? It's one of these. And I like them so much. That got me thinking I could write a story about them. I called it Figgy Roll, and here it is. Mum said there are 7 biscuits left. That means 1 each and 1 left over. Save that one for Dad. Mum had a chocolate biscuit. Jack had a jammy dodger. Norma had a shortcake. Eddie had a thin tea. Lisa had a Garibaldi. Izzy had a custard cream. The one left over for Dad was his favourite, a figgy roll. It was Jack's turn to clear the table. It was Norma's turn to do the washing up. It was Eddie's turn to sweep the floor. It was Lisa's turn to put the milk bottles out. It was Izzy's turn to, well, run about, just like he always did. Mum's friend Betty came over to borrow a book and went away with Izzy's old socks as well. Jack went out on his skateboard and came back with Matthew, and they went upstairs and stuck posters on the wall. Norma was supposed to wash her hair, but put on the radio and telephoned her friend Kim instead. Eddie said the table was a boat, and Lisa and Izzy said they were sailors, and they went round the world in very bad weather. Dad's friend Chris popped in to talk to Dad about the fence, but Dad wasn't in, so he pointed out the crack in the wall above the cooker, and he said, "Best not leave that too long, you know," and went. Then Dad came home. "Yippee!" said Izzy. "Uppy, uppy, Dad." "And me?" said Lisa. "And me?" said Eddie. "And me?" said Norma. "What about me?" said Mum. "Hi, Dad," said Jack. Dad rustled together a quick spaghetti and gobbled it down with a drink of apple juice. "You know what I really fancy now," he said. "A figgy roll. Any left?" "You bet," said Mum. "We saved you the last biscuit, and you know what it was? A figgy roll." Then Mum, Jack, Norma, Eddie, Lisa and Izzy looked for the figgy roll. It wasn't on the table. It wasn't in the cupboard. It wasn't under the cooker. It wasn't in the cat basket. It wasn't in the bread bin. It wasn't in the washing machine. It wasn't in anybody's pocket. It wasn't in Izzy's garage. It wasn't in the doll's tea set. There was no figgy roll. "Well, I'm blowed," said Dad. "That was all I wanted. One little figgy roll, and no one could save me one. I live here too, you know." "You always say that," said Mum. "OK. Which one of you was it? Jack?" "I didn't eat it. I was out skateboarding," said Jack. "Norma?" "I didn't eat it. I was on the phone to Kath," said Norma. "Eddie?" "We didn't eat it," said Eddie. "We were sailing round the world." "I see," said Dad. "No one ate it. It just went. It just disappeared. Flew away. Whoosh. Everyone knows figgy rolls have got wings." "Settle down, Dad," said Norma. "It was only a figgy roll." "Yeah. Settle down, Dad," said Jack. "Settle down, Dad," said Eddie. "Settle down, Dad," said Lisa. "Tettle down, Dad," said Izzy. "OK, OK," said Dad. "I will, but all I know is that one of you ate my figgy roll. And if I find out which one of you it was, I'll... The doorbell rang. It was Chris. "Oh, hi there," said Chris. "You're back. I wanted to have a word with you about the fence. By the way, that biscuit I had before was really nice. Have you got any more?" Here's a story called Let's Go Into the Jungle, written by author and illustrator Rod Campbell. Rod not only drew the animals, he makes the noises for them as well.
Let's go into the jungle and see who's there today. We must be very quiet, or the animals will run away. Shh. Grrr. I'm a noisy lion. All day I growl and roar. At night I'm noisy too. That's because I snore. Grrr. La. I have 2 tusks. My nose is long. I'm an elephant, big and strong. Blah. Hee 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 hee. Ha ha ha. Hee hee hee. I'm a monkey in a tree. I see you. Can you see me? Ha ha ha. Hee hee hee. Hee 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 hee. Stay where you are. I'm a very shy snake. To take a step forward would be a mistake. If you come any closer, you'd better beware. I'll drop on your head and wriggle in your hair. Grrr. Tigers are fierce. Tigers can bite. Tigers can eat you. If you're naughty, I might. Grrr. It's my birthday today. Such a lot of fuss. 3 cheers for me. Hip, hip, hippopotamus. Squawk, squawk. I'm a pretty parrot with feathers blue and red. I've been flying round all day, and now I'm off to bed. Squawk, squawk. Mmm. Yummy, yummy, yummy. A bear loves honey. I like it best when it's in my tummy, don't you? Mmm. Snap, snap. I like to smile. Come closer and see. I'm a crocodile, and I'll eat you for tea. Snap, snap. Will you be our friend and come and see us soon? You'll find us in the jungle every morning and afternoon. Bye-bye. I start doing the pictures for my books by drawing the animals in pencil, just probably like you do. And then I've got to do it again in ink very carefully, and I use a special box for that called a light box. When I've drawn the outlines, I then colour them in with paint using a brush, and sometimes I use a felt pen like you've got at school.
This is the house where Judith Nichols lives in Wiltshire. And this is the drawing of a house in a book she's written for the Longman Book Project. The story is called Ben Biggin's House. And Judith's going to read it now. You'll see a young friend of hers listening to it.
Ben Biggin's house. This is the tree. This is the tree that gave the wood. This is the tree that gave the wood that made the door. This is the tree that gave the wood that made the door that opens wide. This is the tree that gave the wood that made the door that opens wide and leads to the hall. This is the tree that gave the wood that made the door that opens wide and leads to the hall where it's warm inside. This is the tree that gave the wood that made the door that opens wide and leads to the hall where it's warm inside by the crooked wall. This is the tree that gave the wood that made the door that opens wide and leads to the hall where it's warm inside by the crooked wall that holds up the roof. This is the tree that gave the wood that made the door that opens wide and leads to the hall where it's warm inside by the crooked wall that holds up the roof that shelters us all. This is the tree that gave the wood that made the door that opens wide and leads to the hall where it's warm inside by the crooked wall that holds up the roof that shelters us all in Ben Biggin's house.
Some of the books in the Longman Book Project tell you how to make and do things. Useful things, fun things like making toys and puppets. And nobody's better at that than James Dunbar. James, hello.
Hello, Michael.
Now, have you got any of these toys I was talking about?
Yes, there's one here.
And it's something you've made, is it?
It is.
Let's have a look and see what it
You
is.
must tell me what I've made it from.
It's a chicken, first of all, that's what I've got to guess. It's a chicken.
I think.
Now then, let's have a look. That bit's a kettle.
Yes,
This is a washing up brush.
that's right.
Cork in here to hold it in.
That's it.
Now, got a comb up the back here for its tail.
That's right.
Now then, we've got some string. What about this bit in the middle? What's that?
That's a bootlace, a very long one,
For a very long boot.
for a very long boot. And then the face is made out of cut cardboard
Which you
with
then...
eyes and a beak.
And you put some felt tip on it. What are we going to call her? Chicky? Something to do with the kettle?
Yes.
Chickettle? Right, come on James, let's go into the jungle.
Yes, let's. Here we go.
Matchboxes.
That's right. And on some of the matchboxes there is double-sided sellotape,
Yeah.
and there are faces.
Oh, right, and then you stick the faces onto the matchbox.
That's right,
Put fingers in there. Got a giraffe.
because it's a finger puppet. And a tiger.
Rawr! The giraffe will escape. Elephant here, I've got an elephant. That's supposed to be an elephant noise, you know.
I understand. Sounded just like one.
Hmm.
They're all drawn onto card, first of all, cut out, and then coloured and stuck on the double-sided sellotape on the back of a matchbox.
And this one, you've actually cut the matchbox, haven't you? This cat.
I have, yes.
Meow. Meow.
Well, Michael, what can you make from that?
Now these washing tongs, aren't they, for getting the washing out?
That's right.
Well, legs. There we are.
Could be, but where's the body?
No, haven't got one of those. What are you going to make out of them?
Well, because of the sound, I thought of teeth. If you hold that, I've cut this mouth out of cardboard, and with a bit of double-sided sellotape,
Yeah.
I've made a crocodile.
Very good.
There we are.
Very good. Ah! Well, here I am again, and this time... and this time I want... oh dear, I think I've got a frog in my throat. A frog in the throat. That's the title of a lovely story which was written specially for the Longman Book Project by Martin Waddell. Here he is, in his home in Northern Ireland, reading A Frog in the Throat.
A frog in the throat. Baby giraffe was out eating leaves. He gobbled and gobbled and gobbled, and then... Baby giraffe almost choked. He shivered and shook, and he ran to his mother. "There's a frog in my throat," gasped Baby Giraffe. "There's a frog in my throat. It's tickling like mad." "Don't be silly," said Mother Giraffe. "But there is," gurgled Baby. "Just open up wide," said Mother Giraffe. And when Baby did, she looked down inside. Down, 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 down deep inside, she saw eyes, bright, shiny frog eyes, looking up. "Oh my," said Mother Giraffe. Then she stood Baby Giraffe on his head, and she shook, but no frog came out. "Bang Baby's back," said Baby's big sister. Bang, 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 bang. But no frog came out. "Spin Baby about, and the frog will come out," said Baby's big brother. And they whizzed Baby round with his head on the ground, but no frog came out. "I feel really sick," groaned Baby Giraffe, going green. "Oh, good," said the others, and they waited and hoped, but no frog came out. "Pardon me," said the little frog. "I'm sure it's just a mistake, but one of you swallowed my auntie." The little frog was really upset, and so down, 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 down below was his auntie. The wisest giraffe was having a drink by the pool, and he heard the fuss and came over to help. "A frog in the throat," said the wisest giraffe. "Just make Baby laugh." They laid Baby down by the side of the pool, with his neck sticking out over the water. "Now, watch me," said the wisest giraffe, and he tickled the throat of Baby Giraffe with his tail. This made Baby laugh, and made the frog hop in his throat. Hop, 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 plop. "That's how to cope with a frog in the throat," said the wisest giraffe.
When Susie was a baby.
Grace Hallworth is a storyteller, not only a writer of stories and verses, but a collector. And she's put a whole lot of lovely songs and rhymes into her book, Buy a Penny Ginger. Most of these are Caribbean because Grace comes from Trinidad in the Caribbean. And here she is with a group of children helped by actress Jackie Chan.
Buy a penny ginger, pound it in the mortar. Buy a penny ginger, pound it in the mortar. Duknaka, duknaka, dukay! Grandma, sick in bed. She called for the doctor said, Grandma, you ain't sick. All you need is a walking stick. Up, shaky, shaky, shakety, shake. Down, shaky, shaky, shakety, shake. In and out and round about. In and out and round about.
To the back, to the front, to the sa-sa side. To the back, to the front, to the sa-sa side.
She never went to college, she never went to school. She can't read a book, but she ain't nobody's fool. Up, shaky, shaky, shakety, shake.
Down, shaky, shaky, shakety, shake. In and out and round about. In and out and round about. To the back, to the front, to the sa-sa side. To the back, to the front, to the sa-sa side. Up, shaky, shaky!
A bit of paper. A bit of folding.
And there it is.
It's a book. Wow, that's magic. Well, sure it's magic. This is Paul Johnson, who's produced another How to Do It book for the Longman Book Project. Paul's an expert in making books using origami, the Japanese art of cutting and folding paper. So all you need to start with to make one of his books is a sheet of paper.
This is my book box, and I'll show you why. It's full of books. But there's something very, very special about all of these books, and that is that they're all made from just one single sheet of paper.
Can I take a closer look at this one?
Let's have a look at that, Michael. See if you can see how it's made. That's right. There's a slot, a hole in the middle there.
Fold it
Fold
together.
it down, and you have
How many pages? 1,
two,
2, 3, 4,
four,
5, 6, 7. Count the back. 8.
8 pages in all.
So, can you show us how you make one of these?
Yes, let's have a look at the simplest one of all, the little concertina book. So, just an ordinary piece of paper. And there are just a few simple steps to make it into a concertina book.
You promise they're simple.
Very, very simple. First of all, fold in half.
I could do that.
Nice simple crease there. And then we turn it around and we fold it a second time like that.
Yeah, I could still do that.
And then we open it back and fold it one last time like that.
Yeah, I'm still in the clear.
And then we open the whole sheet up and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rectangles, and then we fold the piece of paper in half like that and fold back and back, back, and there's our simple little concertina book.
There it is, finished.
Well, I've got here a lovely little concertina book made by 6-year-old Matthew.
Matthew Kitchen, John's Adventure. You open it out like this, yeah?
Just like the book we've just made. The page of writing, and an illustration, page of writing, illustration, and then we turn around on the back and there's final page of writing, an illustration, and then something about Matthew.
Well, what about this one with the hole in the middle? How'd you make this one?
Well, it's like the previous book. It's got 8 pieces of paper, but there's something very special with this one. There's a slot through the middle, and that slot means that you can fold it in half and then make like a cube shape in the middle. You push that together to make a star shape, and then you fold it down to making a book with 6 pages and a front and a back cover. And now we make our origami book, and it starts off really just like the previous one. Of course, we start by folding the paper in half.
I bet there's going to be something difficult in this one.
Not really. Then we fold it a second time. Again, there, open, and then one last fold there. Open up the whole sheet, and we've got the same 8 panels as before, but now we fold down the middle, and on the folded edge, and it's very important that it's done on the folded edge, we cut through the middle panel like that. We open up the sheet. There's our slot in the middle. We then fold in half and then push towards the middle, left and right sides. There's the cube to start with. Then there's the cross in the middle. And then we can fold around any 2 pages. We'll always finish up with a 6-page book.
It's a book.
And I've got a lovely book here made by 6-year-old Hannah in the same style.
My Family by Hannah Jackson. So tell me, how do you make this one? Because this is like a kind of pop-up book, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's in fact just the same as the previous origami book. You see, it's got the slot in the middle as before, but by folding inwards the outside panels like this and like that, and then by cutting in 3 places there, and then folding the whole thing down again, in fact, we can make a pop-up book. And now we're going to make a pop-up book.
Now this one's going to be really difficult,
No,
isn't it?
It isn't actually, Michael, as you will see. First of all, we fold the paper in half, just like the other books, yes?
Yeah, like we did before.
That's right, and then we turn the paper over, fold one more time there.
That's the same again, isn't it?
That's right, and then we open, and we fold a third time there.
Still on the same track.
That's right. Then we open up the whole sheet like that. And then we fold in half, and of course always on the folded edge we cut through the middle panel with the scissors, open up the page, there's the slot in the middle. But now we fold the outer panels inward there, and the outer panels inward there, and then we're going to cut on 3 of these edges. First one, cut there and there. The second one here, and the third one over here. And then we have to fold these inwards, and the folding is very important. There.
You're not telling me that's going to turn into a pop-up?
Yes, in a few seconds this will be a pop-up book, Michael. Press them all back flat again, that's very important. Open up the whole sheet, fold in half there, just like the previous origami book, and then just as before we push into the middle, making the cube, and then the star shape, and then we fold it down into a book. And
where are the pop-ups?
Well, there's number 1, there's number 2, and there's number 3.
Pop-up? Brilliant.
And here is a wonderful little book written by Sarah in the same style.
Mr. Rat and Mrs. Rat had a day out. Pratima Mitchell's family come from India, and now she lives in Oxford. One summer, she saw a Sikh family in Sidmouth paddling and making sandcastles. She thought that Grandad, who looked particularly happy, must surely enjoy gardening, like Pratima does herself. Then she began to imagine stories about him, and his little granddaughter, and her brother. Here, Pratima reads one of the stories she's written for the Longman Book Project called Minnie's Kite.
Minnie's Kite. Grandfather, Minnie, Baba and Grandmother went to the seaside. Minnie and Baba had never seen the sea. They walked down to the fishing boats. "Hello," said a fisherman to Baba. "I want to be a fisherman one day," said Baba. They went into the water. It was very cold. Grandmother and Minnie were very hungry. "Let's have fish and chips," said Grandfather. Grandfather got Minnie a balloon. Then he got everyone an ice cream. But then the wind blew Minnie's balloon away. "Don't cry, Minnie," said Grandfather. "We can fly our kites. Let's get them from the car." The wind blew their kites up into the sky. Minnie said, "If I jump up like this, will I fly?" But then the wind blew Minnie's kite away. Minnie started to cry. "It's not fair," she said. "Don't cry, Minnie. Do you want to go with my kite?" said Baba. But then the wind blew Baba's kite away. Higher and higher, faster and faster flew the kites. And only the seagulls were left in the sky.
Did you like the pictures in Minnie's kite? I thought they were just right. Perhaps that's because Pratima Mitchell, who wrote the story, and Nilesh Mistry, who drew the illustrations, worked very closely together. And he takes a lot of care over his illustrations, you know.
When I was asked to work on this project, one of the main aspects I wanted to convey in my work was the meeting of two cultures, the East and West. And I've tried to show this by using references to Indian miniatures and more popular forms of art like movie posters. At the start of this project, Pratima was great in helping me visualize what the three main characters of Grandfather, Minnie and Baba would look like. Following that, I went down to local primary school to actually watch how children move, how they behave, and it was from these drawings that I tried to create the characters of Minnie and Baba and portray them as real children. When I start a drawing, I will first draw out the whole image and mark out the main areas of colour, whatever that may be, predominantly yellows or reds, and build up various parts of it in turn. And finally, which is the fun part, putting in all the little details of pattern and decoration that would fill the environment.
Perhaps I should leave this kind of thing to experts?
I want to try and do it without getting any of the yolk, the yellow bit, into the white bit, but it's difficult. You have to hold it upright and gently open it up into two halves. Just put your thumbs in. Well done, open it up and keep the two halves upright like little cups. Well done, that's very good. Now then, pour the yellow into that one quickly. Good. And back again. Very good. Now you can put the yellow bit into this little bowl here. Now look at that, everybody. Isn't that brilliant? Definitely round of applause for Jason.
Food and cookery. Now there's another fascinating subject in the Longman Book Project. Jane Asher has written a round-the-world cookbook in which there are 9 recipes from different parts of the world. Here are 2 of them. Makes me hungry just to think of it.
We're going to cook something really delicious and really exciting. Has anybody heard of something called burekas? No. No? Well, nor had I until I found this recipe. Pastry triangles filled with 3 different kinds of cheese. Absolutely lovely. Do you all like cheese?
Yeah.
Do you all like pastry?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to love these then. Let's go. Terrific.
Yeah.
We've got our egg yolks now separated from the whites. We're going to use them in 2 different stages in the recipe. Who'd like to put the cheese in the bowl? Matthew, would you like to do that? Could you pass us the cheese, please, Jade? Thank you very much. Now, Matthew, one by one, tip those cheeses into the bowl. I think you have to use the fork for the creamy one. Let's see if you can get it all in. If I hold it for you. Tip it all in with the fork. That's it. Wonderful. Well done. Now, this is called feta cheese. You can pick that one up with your fingers, I think, and break it up a bit when you put it in the bowl. We're going to mix it in a minute, but if you just get off to a bit of a start by breaking it into smaller pieces. Good. Very good. And the last one is the cheddar cheese, which we've grated. Tip all that in. Try not to get it over the edge. Oh, well done. Tiny bit more there. Good. Now, last of all, we're going to put... Do you want to tip those egg yolks in? Yes, I think it's his turn. A lot of tipping. It makes a beautiful colour, this. It goes all golden. Tip them in. Lovely.
Different sides.
And Helen, would you like to mix it all together? And I want you to put a little bit of pepper in first. Not too much, because we don't want it too hot and spicy, but just a little bit of pepper brings out the taste of the cheese. Give it a good grind. That's it. Can you see it coming out?
Yeah, it's only black.
This sort of freshly ground pepper is much nicer than buying it when it's already ground in a tub, because it doesn't have nearly so much taste. That's fine. Good. Now give it a very good mix with the fork. The next thing we're going to do is roll out the pastry. This is rather fun. Shall we ask Jade to do that? Because you haven't done it yet, have you?
Yeah.
There's some flour, Jade. If you sprinkle some on the table, quite a lot, so the pastry won't stick when you roll it out. Go on, a bit more than that. That's good. That's fine. Spread it out with your hand. So you've got a lot of the table covered with flour. That'll do. That's fine. Pick up the pastry. We're not going to make the pastry today because that's really quite tricky. So we've got the pastry ready-made. You don't need to flour the rolling pin, I don't think, 'cause it's not going to stick this time. You have to press quite hard, don't you, Jade?
Quite hard.
Yes. That's it. Put your weight into it. Lean into it. That's very good. You're doing well. Now you can turn the pastry around the other way. I'll have another roll. That's good. Now if you roll it that way, then you'll find it'll come out quite nice and evenly. You've got to have it nice and thin. And then when you put it in the hot oven, it'll rise up and be all light and fluffy and flaky and delicious. That's pretty good. All right. Now I think we better trim the edges because otherwise we'll get rather wobbly shapes. Who hasn't done anything yet? Natalie, you haven't done anything, have you? Here's a knife. Now do mind your fingers. Be very careful. Just try and trim the edge so it's nice and straight. That's good. You just need to take that bit off there. Good, well done. That's very neat. Now this edge along here. Good. Now that edge there. You mind your fingers out of the way. Jade, that's it. We've got a lovely neat rectangle. We're going to make 6 squares. So I think the easiest way to do that is if you imagine a line right down the middle and then we'll cut across twice. So off you go. Right down the middle of your rectangle. Oops, you're veering off a bit there, aren't you? Let's try and straighten you up. Otherwise it gets some tiny little shapes and some big ones. That's good. Right down the middle. Wonderful. Now across twice. That's very good. And the next line. See if you can keep this one nice and straight. Mind your fingers out of the way. That's it. Well done. Little round of applause for Natalie there. She's cut 6 one of those squares and bring it over here. And shall we ask Nicholas to put some filling in, please? Take a square of pastry. If I give you a spoon, Nicholas, can you put a spoonful of the filling onto the square? I'll show you how to think of it, because otherwise it's a bit tricky. If you imagine a line across the middle, you want to put the filling sort of there. Because if you put it right in the middle, it's very hard to fold it over it. If you put it on one side, if you just fold it on top, yes, it would sort of squish it. So have a go and put a nice spoonful about there. We'll see how we get on. There we are. Now then, Matthew, would you like to help us stick it out? There's the white of egg and a brush. If I turn this your way, just brush a little bit of white of egg just around the edge, just like glue. It's very good for sticking. That's fine. Just along the edge like that, and along this edge here. Very good. Now, Nicholas, you can guess what's coming next, can't you? Pick that up, fold it over the filling, right over the top, and you want to get the edges to meet as neatly as you can. Very good. Now you want to really press quite hard all around the edge, because otherwise, if it opens that while it's cooking, all the cheese will come out, and that'd be a shame. That's good. Not too hard, just so you can feel it sticking together. And the next step is to brush that, please, Matthew, with some more egg white. This helps to make them nice and shiny. And also we're going to stick on some seeds just to make them look pretty and give them a bit more flavour. You can brush it all over this time. That's excellent. Now look, this is quite fun. Shall we ask Helen, because she hasn't done them for a bit. Do you like sesame seeds or poppy seeds? Or you're happy to both if you like, but I think it's nicer to choose one. Do you like sesame seeds, JC? Yeah. Right, Helen, let's make one for JC. Sprinkle a bit of, that's the sesame seeds. Sprinkle a bit on with your fingers and it'll stick to the white of egg, you see? Sprinkle it over the top. That's it. That's wonderful. There, look, we've put them all on the baking tray, ready to go in the oven, but we've got one left to put seeds on. Now, what are we going to do? Poppy seeds or sesame seeds? How many of you like sesame seeds best? 1, 2, 3. Oh, so we want 3 with poppy. That's easy, isn't it? So that one's got... Have you realised something? Yeah. There are 6 of you.
So we can put it.
There are 6 of these. Where's mine? I'm not going to have one. That's not fair.
Why don't we put it all together? Why don't you have a choice?
Well, because there's only 6 of those and 6 of you. I'll have to share with somebody. All right, let's put poppy seeds on this last one. Thank you, Matthew. We'll put a little bit more white of egg on it, shall we? Matthew, you've been doing that. You're rather good at it, aren't you? Just brush that with a bit of white.
There's 3 of them.
And we'll have 3 of the poppies, see? 3 of each. That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, you're not going to do it.
Well, she can do something else exciting in a minute. That's good. Helen, why don't you sprinkle some poppy seeds on there? Don't you think they're a lovely colour? That's beautiful.
I hope I won't eat them.
Oh, they taste lovely. They're good. Oh, no, they're fine.
Do some here.
Yes, a little bit on there. There, I think that's wonderful. I'm going to put that in the oven so none of you get burnt. And you watch how wonderful they'll look when we take them out. I'll pop them in the oven. I turned it on a while ago so it's got nice and hot, 400 degrees. That's called preheating the oven. We leave them in there for about 25 minutes until they're golden brown and delicious. Let's see if they're ready. Oh yes, look, golden brown and wonderful. And I mustn't forget to turn off the oven. Now look at this. These are pretty amazing. Now don't go anywhere near this. It's so hot. Be very, very careful. Don't touch the tray. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? See how they've all risen up? It's quite like magic, isn't it? Don't touch it. It's really hot. So what I'm going to do is move them. See, I had oven gloves on, by the way. When you're putting things in and out of the oven, always wear oven gloves. I'm going to put them onto this plate.
Burn yourself.
That's right. Look, I just lovely and hot. 1, 2, 3. Don't these look wonderful? 4, 5, 27. Oh no, it's not right, is it? 6. I think we ought to cut one open and have a look at that lovely cheese inside, don't you?
Yeah.
Let's cut open this one and have a look. It's still quite hot, but oh, see how crispy it is. That sounds lovely. Now let's have a look. See all that lovely cheese mixture inside? It's gone all melted and nice. Now, who'd like to taste this?
Me.
Oh, you all would. Nicholas, you would be very quiet. There you are. Have a little taste. You'd be our tester. Let's see what he thinks. Mind your tongue doesn't get burned. I don't think it's too hot. If you like it, nod, because I know you've got your mouth full. No decision coming yet? Yes, I think he likes it. Yes, he likes it. Great. After those rather rich, cheesy burekas, shall we make a lovely fresh fruit salad?
Yeah.
Do you like that? I love fruit salad. And you can make them quite exciting now because the supermarkets have wonderful different fruits from all over the world. The one we're going to make is called a Caribbean fruit salad. And in it, it's going to have pawpaw. Anyone seen those before?
Yeah.
Haven't you, Nicholas? They're lovely. They're very tasty. They've got lots of seeds in the middle, you'll see. And this is a mango. You know those, don't you?
Yeah.
They're rather expensive, but very delicious. So they're for special occasions, but wonderful in a fruit salad. What's that?
Apple.
Of course it is. And this is a grapefruit. You don't normally think of that automatically in a fruit salad, but it makes it... It could be. We get a lot from Florida, don't we? Or from Israel, all over the place. That gives it a nice tang, stops it being too sweet, because we're going to put a bit of brown sugar as well. It'll be very tasty. It'll also help the apple not to go brown. The first thing we've got to do is peel some of these, because we don't want mango skin. We've washed all the fruit, so the next thing we've got to do is prepare it. Some of it needs peeling, some of it doesn't, but it all needs chopping up into bite-sized pieces. So you haven't got big lumps of fruit that are difficult to eat. You can just spoon it up and eat it straight away. Let's start with this mango. Who could peel this for me? Helen, do you want to? Thank you. And there's a potato peeler. I think you could try and do it with that. That might work rather well. Be careful because it is sharp. And meanwhile, Jesus, could you cut up the apple for me? Yeah, that's a very sharp knife, so be careful. How are you managing, Helen? That's very good. Right, Jesus, cut it right down the middle, but do mind your fingers. That knife's very sharp. Good, right down to the board. That's wonderful. Now, if you put them both over that way, that's safe. And cut them again, each one in half. Good. Right down onto the board. Now I've got to get the core out. You know what the core is, don't you? It's that bit with the seeds and the sort of like gristly stuff you can't eat. So see if you can cut the core out onto the board like that. Oh, of course you do it the other way around because you're left-handed. That's good. Very good, well done. You want to slice it now into bite-sized pieces so we can eat it easily. That's wonderfully done. Good, mind your fingers. Who'd like to cut this pawpaw in half? Natalie, all right, good. Here we are. There's a knife. Now cut it that way, right down the middle. Very good. Now look, see? Aren't they funny?
Looks like frog's eggs.
It does, doesn't it? It looks exactly like frog's eggs. They're rather beautiful, but rather weird at the same time. You can't eat them, so we'll have to scoop those out. There's a little teaspoon, Natalie. See if you could scoop out all those black seeds into that bowl. That's very good. We've got all the seeds out. Now cut the pawpaw up too into bite-sized pieces. Mind your fingers. That's wonderful. We're going to peel the grapefruit, which is a bit tricky. So what I'll do first, I'll just score it down the sides like this. And then maybe, Nicholas, you could peel it for me. I think I'll do this because it's rather dangerous. It's very difficult to do it without cutting yourself. Yeah, you see how I've cut through the skin? If you start to pull it off, that's it. Just pull it away from the grapefruit. If there's lots of that white pith left on, then I'm going to pull that off afterwards as well because it's very bitter. That's good. I'll take that bit there. You see if I pull off the white pith, because that tastes horrible, doesn't it? And we'll cut the grapefruit up into bits as well. The other grapefruit, we're going to take the juice out of it. If you'd, Helen, you have that juicer there. Plonk it on top. Now really press down. Good. And sort of squeeze it to and fro. And look at all that juice coming out. That's amazing, isn't it? There's a lot, isn't there? Good. Now you can do the other one. Very good. We've done all the hard work. Look at all this beautiful fruit all cut up and peeled and chopped and taken the cores out and the seeds out. Now I think we better, you all look quite exhausted. I think we ought to mix it together so we can eat some. Jade, if you pass me that lovely big bowl, please. Thank you. Let's put all the fruit into the bowl. Nicholas, perhaps you can help. Chasers, can you help me too? In it goes. You can use your hands, they're quite clean. Try not to spill it onto the table. That's it. Matthew, why don't you get that apple? We can put that in as well. In it goes. Look at that lovely colour. Beautiful. Whoops. Pop those bits in. Man overboard. Pop them in, that's good. Get rid of that.
Overboard.
Apple overboard, wasn't it? Pour the grapefruit juice in. Helen, can you pour that in? Try not to spill it. It's so full, isn't it? Look what a steady hand she's got. Let's get a bowl under her quick. Well done. Pour it all in. Good. Now the last lovely touch, which is, the brown sugar. Look. Jaces, would you like to tip that into the fruit? Just to make it sweet and wonderful. Thank you. Nicholas, if you can reach that spoon over there, give it a very gentle stir. We don't want to break up the fruit. You've taken all that trouble to cut up so neatly. If you go right down the bottom, then you'll bring up some of that grapefruit juice.
Is it going to be all squashy?
No, it's quite crisp. It won't be too squashy. That looks wonderful, doesn't it? The thing about a fruit salad, you don't want to make it too far ahead of when you're going to eat it. If you left it till the next day, it would go rather mushy and brown and wouldn't taste very nice. All you want to do is pop it in the fridge till it's chilled, so it's nice and cool, and then eat it straight away, and it's lovely. So I'll put this in the fridge to get cold, and then as soon as it is, we'll all have some.